Well, thanks for joining us here at Eastwood, Tulsa. Today I want to talk to you about Serve My City. There are churches all across the metro area here that on Saturday, June the 8th, are coming together to serve our neighborhoods and our communities. And one of the ways we here at Eastwood are going to be serving and actually working with several other churches in the East Tulsa area is working at our school right next door to us at LIndbergh Elementary. And today I want to introduce you to James Isaac, who is the principal at LIndbergh. So James, thanks for being with us.
Of course.
So glad that you're here. This is your first year at LIndbergh.
Yes.
As the principal. And so just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to LIndbergh, just your background and where you moved from, all this interesting stuff that I got to learn about you.
Okay. So I grew up in Cincinnati,
Okay.
Ohio. I'm a northerner.
I'm sorry.
And I love being where I am now.
Yeah.
But just because of certain situations up there, I got a job in Memphis, Tennessee. Worked there for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife, who is an Okie,
Okay. Good for her.
finally convinced me to make this switch over.
To move into God's country.
That's exactly right.
There
That's
you go.
exactly right. So we've been here almost 10 years now.
Okay.
Have 2 wonderful kids that are 12 and 10. And then when I first got here in the Broken Arrow, Tulsa area, I worked at a private school and did a lot at the private school. I coached, taught, and did some assistant principal work.
Right. Okay.
But always knew that my heart was in a certain area.
Okay.
Usually an urban area, usually an area that doesn't have a lot of parental support, and wanted to really focus on those kids, the kids that kind of needed a role model, a mentor.
Sure.
And always wanted to get myself back into an urban setting. So really quickly, I got into Hale High School.
Okay.
And most of my education career has been in the secondary side of it, middle school, high school. And so I was at Hale High School for 7 years, completely administration, assistant principal over there. And then got a phone call and said, "Are you open to elementary education?"
Okay.
And
that's a huge change
big change
from high school going back down to elementary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought I could do it.
Yeah.
I thought it would be an easy transition over to it. The kids are kids. That's what I kept telling myself. I was wrong. So this year has been a great learning experience. I called it the year of the observation.
Right.
For my teachers, I called it the year yes. So every response that I gave them was usually a yes.
Yeah.
But it was a big learning experience, learning curve for me this year because 17, 18-year-olds are way different than 4 and 5
Oh, I
year-olds.
bet. Yeah, there's just mammoth difference.
Yeah. You can rationalize
Yes.
with a high school kid and a middle school kid. When a kindergartner is crying and screaming and running from you, it's really hard to rationalize. So just me being able to figure out how to deal with the kids.
Right.
Kids are kids.
Sure.
But the elementary was a huge learning experience for me this year.
Yeah.
And I got through it, and I'm not running away.
Right.
I'm staying there.
Good.
Putting my feet down, and we're going to have another great year next year.
Yeah. Well, we've met a couple of times, so we've been able to talk about some of the needs that LIndbergh has. And so when we started talking about this Serve My City Day, and we had already talked about certain needs, there were several things that immediately came to mind to me as things that we could do at LIndbergh that were more project oriented.
Yeah.
So I believe over the next year we're going to be able to do a lot more in partnering with you and your administration and really reaching out to these kids and helping them in multiple different ways, from an educational way as well as in a community way. And so you talked to me about just some of the signage there at LIndbergh, some of the flower beds, some of the just cosmetic things around the building that need to be done. But then there's this concept of a community garden.
Yeah.
And so can you just tell us a little bit about the community garden? And in just a minute, we're going to go over and actually look at that.
You got it. So there's a theory when it comes to education. If you have an urban population, and our population is increasing in the Hispanic speaking, they don't learn in the traditional teacher-led instruction with the lecture-based and worksheets and things like that. You have to venture out and do more hands-on experiences.
Okay.
So one of the things that we focused on at LIndbergh this year was creating experiences that these kids wouldn't have at home.
Okay.
Maybe they don't have a garden. Maybe they don't have the experience of having a pet.
Right.
So we wanted to really create some experiences where they can learn from this, that there was skills in there.
Yes.
Inside of that. So our staff got together and we started thinking about project-based learning. Mm-hmm. PBL is a big push across the United States in a lot of education, especially groups that have a urban setting and especially groups of Hispanic kids. They learn by doing.
Yes.
And they'll actually pick up the language and they'll actually pick up the culture and they'll pick up the learning environment much better if they are doing things.
Sure.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was also connect with our community and try to figure out how we could teach the kids, but at the same time reach out to our community and give them something that they could actually use. Yeah.
Well, obviously when you can put your hand in dirt or you can do something, it always changes that, especially if you're growing up in the city. Yep. You got a bunch of concrete everywhere. Dirt's different.
Yeah.
It is. Well, would you mind to take us into LIndbergh and show us some of the things that you're talking about, and then we can kind of see what that looks like?
You got it.
All right, let's go. Well, James, we're here at LIndbergh, and right here, we're right in front of the sign. And LIndbergh was established here in the 50s as East Tulsa was just growing about the same time as Eastwood was. So this is the original sign, and obviously it needs some help with some paint and everything. But what, from a student's perspective, when they walk onto this campus, what is it that, you really see as important for them to see and be able to experience, so when they walk in those doors that day for a great educational experience? Why is this important?
Well, you just talk about like the old and the new, right? Mm-hmm. So this community is very important to the school and to the church. And so first, just by like finishing up this sign and helping out in that, it's just going to give us a sense of pride for our community and for our kids. We had a renovation here a few years ago, and we're really blessed with probably one of the best looking elementary schools, but it doesn't mean that we're done.
Right.
And so the biggest thing is when a kid walks in, we want them to have the opportunity to have a great education experience, and we know that starts by what it looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Kids go to the mall,
right.
They walk down the street, and they go to the places that are appeasing, that they think look cool. So same mentality here. We want to make sure that we do stuff that makes stuff look like it's new, it's fresh, keep some of those old vintage elements about our community and the history part of the school, but also just giving them that sense of pride and belonging.
Right. Well, here we've got a lot of road construction that is happening, and some of it's been things that the city has been promising for a while. 11th Street's got a lot of traffic, but also right here at this corner, we have a lot of students that have to cross this corner. There's a cross guard here. So tell us what's going to happen here as part of the road construction and how this is going to change really for the better for LIndbergh.
Yeah. So we talked about safety a little bit, and I think this is a big thing moving forward. And I've been kind of blessed coming in as my first year. There's been a lot of legwork already done, conversations that have happened. So I get to kind of just bear the fruit and kind of watch out how it affects our school. But we have a lot of kids that live over there in the neighborhood, and they have to cross 11th Street. So we've had to really look for some community members, some volunteers. We got a safety patrol person this year that would come and help the kids walk across the street. It's our responsibility from the moment they leave till they get to the front door to make sure that they're safe. So this is just one piece of a continual effort to try to make sure that they're safe.
And this, when they're doing this, the city's plan is to change the whole way that 11th Street is, at least from basically the bridge there, the Mingo Creek Bridge going this direction, is basically going to go from 3 lanes on each side to 2 lanes and then add the bike lane.
Right.
So that bike lane becomes important.
Yeah. Because the bike lane is something that's going to allow our kids to get out the campus a little bit and go and ride. Bike safety is a huge thing. There's been a lot of instances that happen here in Tulsa, and I know Tulsa is really starting to love on this idea of the bicycling thing. So with us having a bike club here, the parks being here, and that bike lane is going to just give our kids opportunities to go out there and practice their skills, and get them an opportunity to go see the community. Sometimes the kids get stuck in just their house and their school, and sometimes the bike will give them an opportunity to get out and see more of what their community.
Some people are going to say, you know, man, if these kids are on these bikes, they're going to be getting out, they're going to be getting in more trouble. You know, so obviously there's and any of them could do that, but adults do the same thing. But you're right. But when there's a sense of community, a sense of this is my community and I need to respect it and take care of it, it changes that completely.
Yeah, you know, sometimes we get so caught up on the negative side of it, right? If you get a kid a bike and you give them the opportunity to go out and do more, well, I want to give him an opportunity to go out and do good. I got to teach him that. I got to help with the parents and show them, because I would love for our kids to go out and do more stuff in the community, not destroy the community. But having them to have a sense of pride in not only in their community and their school, when they get on that bicycle and they start to use this bike lane, they get in these parks, maybe they're motivated to clean it up a little bit. Maybe they're motivated to use it. Maybe they're motivated to do more. Maybe they're going to go out to their friends and say, hey, why don't we create a bike club? Why don't we go do these things? So sure, there's always the negative piece, but I really want to focus on the positive piece, on how to get these kids experiences and they can go out and take care of the community.
Well, one other area that's soon to happen, I think either in the middle of this construction or maybe later after it's over, is construction that's going to happen on 9th Street. And that's going to actually come to the corner of Eastwood, where you guys also you take about 100 students or more there, and with parents waiting in our parking lot to pick up those kids. So how's that going to change?
Well, I think that's just going to help our arrival and dismissal. Anytime you ask a principal what their biggest headache is, arrival and dismissal, getting the kids in, getting the kids out. So 11th Street and the closeness of the school to 11th Street really causes us to back up the 11th Street area. So if we could get more parents to not go through our arrival and use the Boeing Park over there, and maybe some of the area where the church is, it allows us to get that arrival going through really quick.
So I know part of the plan there is then at 9th and 91st is that there's going to be a 3-way stop, and then we'll be able to have another crosswalk guarder there. So that's going to be a major change, especially for those of us at the church who all we see is people flying down 91st Street. So having that 3-way stop is going to change a lot.
And another safety person over there is huge, because our responsibility is to protect the kids when they're on campus. And this is kind of a piece of that, but we've never really had anything over there.
There's never been anything.
As soon as the kids get off the school ground, they kind of go over there, and we kind of like, you're on your own. But I don't want to be like that. I want to venture out a little bit. I want to make sure that the kids are safe. Even when they get onto your campus, even when they get over to that park and they use the playground and they're waiting for their parents, or they're getting on a bus, a high school bus, and even the high school kids that are coming up. I still want to make sure that I don't just focus on my school, but I focus on the community and every decision that I make.
Tell us about the bike club that's going to be happening this next school year.
So the bike club is a Tulsa thing. It's not a Tulsa Public Schools thing, but they have implemented these bike clubs across elementary schools. Broken Arrow has them, Jinx has them, and so this is a completely community-based organization that comes in. So people that are firefighters, local business owners, former educators come in and actually run a bike club. And the biggest thing is learning bike safety, learning how to balance yourself on a bike, giving them opportunities to go. And I mean, we are in a perfect area. Lindbergh's got parks,
so many parks, the trails, everything is right here.
So we finally got approved for some funding. So we're going to have almost 50 bikes delivered here. Those kids will get to use those bikes. They'll be completely supplied with everything they need to go on local rides, to field trips to Turkey Mountain, to actually go. We take kids down to Tulsa Tough, and they see the competitions. So it's really incorporating every bit of that bicycle culture here at an elementary level, because the kids will never ever get to experience that stuff. They have no idea all the things that Tulsa does with bikes.
Right.
And so this is an opportunity for them to get a piece of that. And the great thing about it is when they leave here, they leave with a bike.
Yes.
We actually give them a bike and they can kind of continue that culture.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. When we paint these pillars, I mean, really represent something more than just a pillar. So tell us about the We Are LIndbergh motto.
Yeah. So we want to paint these and make these better, but the biggest thing is when these kids walk in, community members, parents, stakeholders, everybody, there's going to be a motto here. Our motto for LIndbergh next year is We Are LIndbergh. Okay. And each letter of that is a non-negotiable, is something that we are, our beliefs and our core values, things like loyalty, innovation, noble, gratitude. And these are going to be monthly things that we're going to focus on, and we're going to reward kids. We're going to have announcements, and we're going to have welcoming rise and shines and award ceremonies, all focused around this mantra. And so we want to have that right here when they walk in. We are LIndbergh.
So here inside, you mentioned a while ago that Tulsa Public Schools has definitely invested a lot of money. You have a safe room now, the new library for tornado and severe storm shelter. But a part of that was then, coming in and just having a quick timeline to get things done, and some things as simple as baseboards really has just been falling apart. So what's been happening here on the floor and inside?
Yeah, so Tulsa Public Schools, because of the bond that came out 5 years ago, a lot of that money was spent on elementaries being redone and redesigned, which is a great thing. However, most of that construction work and things happen over a summer, which is usually not enough time. So for every positive thing that we have, like a safe room, clean walls, great furniture, we have things like baseboards that just kind of drive me crazy. So we've kind of cut back the cost a little bit on things like that. And I have somewhere between 100 pieces of baseboard molding that has come up. It was probably one of the last projects they did, and they didn't do a very effective job on that.
So here we are. We're here on the east side, kind of the back of the building, and in this green area here is where you really want to put this community garden, starting with raised beds. And so the plan here is to build 10 3-foot by 12-foot raised beds that will get a start to these classes and planting and learning this hands-on development.
Yeah, one of the things we did some research on was these community gardens that could hit like basically every core area. Big push is project-based learning, so they call it PBL. And they want to start that in the elementary levels. And so one of the things that we focus on is a lot of science, a lot of growing of plants, learning things about life cycles. And so we thought incorporating a hands-on activity like these raised beds, and then as we started like talking about this, it was amazing to see the creativity that were coming out. So as we started talking about these raised beds, one example was a teacher said, well, our bed is going to be all about creating salsa. So everything in that bed is going to be an ingredient for salsa, and then when the kids come out here for their family night, parent-teacher conferences, they're going to let the parents pick the peppers and pick up the cilantro and the onions and the tomatoes and give them a little instruction piece and let them go home. So the biggest thing with our project-based learning is how do we connect the learning from here to the home. And so if we have this garden that they can learn on, they can put their hands in, they can really do some hands-on learning, but then also be able to connect that to the families and allow the kids to teach the parents something, and get them more involved. Our community involvement, our parent involvement is not the highest. And so we're trying to figure out these ways to get our parents in our building, let them know that we are here to help them. We want to build that trust with them, and we also want to show them how they can help their kid. So if we give them those activities, if we give them resources when they come into the building, because we know that student achievement's important, but I only have them 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And the other hours of the day, they're at home, where parents, guardians, grandparents, even cousins and other family members could be part of that teaching,
that learning time.
Yep.
And we've talked a little bit about just the changing demographic that is constantly happening in East Tulsa, and there's a growing Hispanic population, but there's also all these other cultures that are growing as well. And so speak to us just how this becomes a way of bridging the language barrier.
Yeah, so this project-based learning idea, these hands-on experiences, are research-based. These are the strategies that schools use to connect with different cultures, to connect with everybody grows a garden. So it might be different things,
right?
And even allowing the cultural of our school to be part of it, like allowing them to teach us. You know, we have different Asian cultures that could probably teach us on things that they're growing and how they grow that, and also like I'm thinking like having food that we have never tried, and them actually growing it and showing us how they prepare it. So it's almost like a job fair, a culture fair. That's going to, I mean, this idea is going to expand into all kinds of things, but these hands-on experiences, these project-based learning, it's really to focus on our Hispanic population, because we don't want to focus everything in the classroom. We want to be able to have these different strategies, because these different strategies are going to allow them to achieve more in the learning process.
So these raised beds are really important going forward, and what some of the focus that you're trying to accomplish, especially just learning language. I mean, if you know it's a tomato, and in Spanish it's got a completely different word, you can start associate Spanish and English together, as well as any other language. A part of that.
So when we talk about our community garden, I think the biggest piece that we want to focus on is that sense of belonging, school pride. When those kids put their hands in there and they start to work on this, that hard work is going to translate into a sense of pride. And I want them to be able to go and tell that to their friends. So when they're on the park and they want to go and mess up the garden a little bit, then they say, no, that's my classes.
We're working hard on that garden.
That's right. You know, and this is for you guys. Like I would have no problem with his friends going over and saying, hey, there's some vegetables. Why don't you guys take these to your family? Why don't you take them home? Let's not destroy this. This is for us. And the school is doing a good thing. So just kind of teaching them that there is a sense of belonging to this community and this school and this church.
And respect. When you respect your surroundings, it changes everything.
Exactly. When we go back to that, we are LIndbergh. So one of those things is going to be respect. There's a mentality here in this community that I will respect you if you respect me. And that is that's a new way of thinking. We grew up where you respected your elderly, you respected your teachers, you respected people that were older than you. And so now we have to kind of
have to reestablish.
We do. We have to reestablish what that respect looks like, and I want them to respect the school, respect the community, the church, and I think of this community garden as just that first step to start to build that respect.
Awesome. So this is a key part. What is awesome is this is something that we can partner with you to be able to do this on an ongoing basis. So we appreciate that.
We love the opportunity. Thank you.